parliaments despite this permission. The scenes recently witnessed, where committee members are outnumbered by their friends to the extent that they lack sitting space and adequate time allocation to prosecute their mandate, are unfortunate and unacceptable. This is an abuse of the spirit of Standing Order number 195 and has cast the House in very negative light with regard to the seriousness and decorum of committee proceedings. Consequently, to remedy this, I therefore direct that the Clerk of the National Assembly immediately put in place administrative measures to reserve marked sitting places for each committee member at any meeting properly convened. It shall be upon each chairperson to determine the number of non-committee members or friends to allow to participate in a committee sitting at any given time, taking into account the available sitting space. In light of the fact that all members have the opportunity to discuss any matter reported to the House by a committee, chairpersons of committees shall give priority to committee members in examination of matters before the committee, including asking questions, and a non-committee member may only speak with the permission of the chairperson and may be ordered to withdraw from the committee sitting for disorderly conduct. Further, a non-committee member is not permitted to sit in the committee during the internal sittings of the committee, including the pre-inquiry sittings, confirmation of minutes, or report writing meetings. Honourable members, it has come to my attention also that some committees are insistent on cabinet secretaries appearing before them in person to answer queries directed to the ministry. I'm fully cognizant of the provisions of Article 153, Clause 3 and Clauses 3 and 4B of the Constitution, which oblige a cabinet secretary to attend before a committee of the National Assembly when required by the committee and answer any question concerning a matter for which the cabinet secretary is responsible and provide Parliament with full and regular reports concerning matters under their control, respectively. Nevertheless, honourable members, committees ought to be alive to the possibility that awaiting the eventual appearance of a cabinet secretary to answer all queries in person may prejudice the effective discharge of their mandate. In this regard, I urge committees on a case-by-case basis to consider allowing either the principal secretary or any senior officer of the ministry to attend and answer questions where the personal attendance of the cabinet secretary can be excused. Indeed, technical officers are the best placed to respond to issues of technical nature. However, members, this is not a blanket excuse to cabinet secretaries' appearance before committees when required to appear. Honourable members, as I conclude, the House is reminded that the Constitution places strict obligations on the conduct of members in the discharge of their roles as leaders. Parliament is under constant scrutiny. Committee meetings are open to the public and proceedings are now streamed live online and on television sets. The actions, comments, body language, gestures, and even grooming of members is under constant evaluation by the people of Kenya. The partial or indecorous conduct of an individual member or a committee of the House is deemed by extension as the conduct of the House. Let us strive to do better and uphold the dignity of the House. In summary, I therefore direct the following. 1, it rests upon each committee to decide and resolve on the urgency of the inquiry they propose to undertake if an investigative agency is conducting a parallel investigation and where prosecution has preferred charges on individuals of interest to the committee on matters similar or substantially similar to those before it, the inquiry before the committee should be suspended but not stopped. Any further inquiry may only proceed with the leave of the Speaker. 2, that prior to the commencement of every meeting, every chairperson must require that members declare their interests in any matter under consideration. 3, that members should relate with persons appearing as witnesses before the committees at arm's length. In this regard, while appearing before committee, Witnesses should be ushered in and escorted out by the Secretariat or the Sergeant at Arms. Members should also endeavor to avoid making any contacts with witnesses prior to or during hearings. 4, that as a rule, the House shall cater for all expenses relating to a matter under inquiry by a committee. Any proposal by any organization to co-fund a committee activity should be treated with caution, and if such co-funding or funding shall be considered necessary, requests should be directed to the Office of the Clerk for review and approval on a case-by-case basis. 5, that the Clerk of the National Assembly immediately puts in place administrative measures to reserve marked sitting places for each committee member at any meeting of a committee. 6, that it shall be upon the chairperson of a committee to determine the number of non-committee members, so-called friends, to allow to participate in a committee sitting at any given time, taking into account the available sitting space and convenience of the committee. 7, that the chairperson of a committee shall give priority to the committee members in the asking of questions in a committee sitting. In this regard, a non-committee member may only speak with the permission of chairperson after the chairperson has determined that the other members of the committee may not be desirous of asking further questions. 9, that a chairperson shall report to the Speaker any incident where a non-committee member grossly misconducts himself or herself during a committee sitting for disciplinary action in the House. 9, that forthwith, contravention of Standing Order number 86 that prohibits premature reference to proceedings before committees constitutes an act of gross disorderly conduct pursuant to Standing Order number 107A, paragraph 1, Roman 1, attracting suspension or discharge of a committee. And this order of members includes taking of photographs and posting them on various social media sites through WhatsApp and such like activities. And finally, number 10, that committees consider allowing either the principal secretary or senior officer of a ministry to attend and respond to queries where the personal attendance of a cabinet secretary can be excused, save for examination of matters before the audit committees, that is the Public Accounts Committee, the Public Investment Committee, and the Special Funds Accounts Committee, where accounting officers must appear in person to respond to audit queries as required by law. The House is so guided. I thank you. Yes, Leader of Majority.
Mr. Speaker, this is one of the communications that you will be remembered for. That has brought sanity and order to how we conduct. And Mr. Speaker, I just really want the clerk's office to produce as many copies as possible of that communication, and first give it to chairs of committees, their clerks, and every other member, Mr. Speaker, can pick it from the table office, so that this becomes at the order of the reception, so that each and every member of this House can internalize. But Mr. Speaker, we want to thank you for that Solomonic communication, which you have done many times, but this one, I'm sure, it took long, and I'm sure members and chairs will, and even the media and the public should pick a copy and see how things can be done in Parliament, Mr. Speaker.
Honour Maure.
Mr. Speaker, I do also put forward a very strong statement of gratitude to that ruling, and I do wish to state that it has nearly rewritten the Speaker's handbook, whereby the time, Mr. Speaker, when I did raise the matter, there was a lot of negative excitement when I was raising it, and it dangerously put also the House in bad light by the fact that it was on live television, and members were not noticing that I was trying to cover up their nakedness, and instead they want to put it on the face that boast about it. So, Mr. Speaker, I really do wish to appreciate the fact that you've gone through the whole details, given the procedures, and the traditions of what a parliament should be. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, for the many of us who have enough experience of visiting many countries in the Commonwealth and know about the conduct of parliament, it is actually the conduct that is called august, not the institution, the conduct of a member. And Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank you very much for changing the direction on which the House had taken. And also state that I remember I was there when the members were cursing and jumping on the witnesses. And I am glad to notice my conduct. I did steer the space and the negative corner where that scene was happening and moved out because I knew it was inappropriate and immoral and unethical. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member says, Honourable Amalwa, you also have an intervention.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the communication you've given is very critical, and there are some of the issues you've said. I think it will be nice if we can extend it to the committee that is in charge with the standing orders so that they can be able to incorporate it, particularly when it comes to members' attendance of committees. You find some members never attend committee proceedings. We lack quorums. So there should be a framework whereby those people can be discharged from that committee instead of increasing numbers, and they are nowhere to be available. And this must find itself to the standing orders and also the chairs, because they are actually your representatives in the committees, so that the chairs should know they have powers to send someone out in case of misbehavior. Because we've seen some committees, even the chairs are so lenient that they cannot even control members. Maybe some of them didn't know that they have powers. It's like an extension of parliament, plenary, and they have powers like your powers when you're seated there, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Well, I will encourage chairpersons of committees not to be scared of being impeached by their members and continually report infractions within committee meetings. But the issue you've raised is actively being considered at a proposed retreat in about 2 weeks' time. Honourable members, I just wanted to draw your attention to a report that was tabled by the leader of the majority party, because not many members may have paid attention. These reports of the National Assembly, reports to the National Assembly on the Kenya Defence Forces deployment to the Solai Dam disaster and the Komba fire incident. And I think I would want members to really get copies of that report, because this is the first time following the provisions of Article 241, Clause 3 of the Constitution, such a report has been tabled in the House. So that, and you remember that, you know that article allows the Kenya Defence Forces to collaborate with other bodies and civil agencies in situations of emergency and disaster. I think it's an important one that we should all familiarize ourselves with. Possibly the committee responsible will be standing and bring the report, but I think it's only fair that all members have a look at it. The member for Cherangani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish...
Sorry, next, read it out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to make the following statement. Mr. Speaker, from August 1st, 2018, Kenyans will be forced to pay more money to sustain a 17 billion tender, the excisable Goods Management System, EGMS. The tender that was awarded to SICPA Company, Security Solution SA Limited, a Swiss company, awarded a tender to affix tax excise stamps on all local manufactured or imported essential goods. That is bottled water, juices, soda, and non-alcoholic beverages, and cosmetics. Mr. Speaker, this is meant to curb counterfeits and ease traceability of goods. Mr. Speaker, the same stamps that KRA is trying to implement through EGMS has already been fitted with KEBS, or Kenya Bureau of Standards, stamps to curb counterfeit and ease traceability. Mr. Speaker, to illustrate that, is that if you see this bottle of water, down here there is a KEBS stamp. KRA want to also affix another stamp on the bottle, on the top of every bottle of the water. Mr. Speaker, the Excisable Goods Management System, tender number KRA HQS DP 423 24 2015, EGMS 3, was awarded by KRA to SICPA Solutions Limited through single sourcing. The 17 billion project tender was awarded through single sourcing. The company, Mr. Speaker, is alleged to be facing a probe related to taxes in Brazil, Albania, and Morocco. Mr. Speaker, the EGMS requires manufacturers of accessible goods to pay SICPA 1 shilling and 50 cents for every stamp attached to every item. Mr. Speaker, on an average, the bottles that runs through the production line in all the manufacturers in a day are 30,000 bottles, meaning that SICPA will be collecting 45 million per day. And this is money that is being repatriated to Swiss if Kenyan shillings, 1 shilling and 50 cents is imposed. Mr. Speaker, 45 shillings, 45 million per day. SICPA in a month will be making 1.2 billion and a total of 16 billion in a year, Mr. Speaker. With a contract running for 5 years, SICPA will be reaping 81 billion in a tender originally negotiated for 17 billion. This is a monumental rip-off, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to prove my assertions and the issue that I'm raising, it is important to note that the first tender on the same matter, that is tender number KRA HQS 060 2010 2011 EGMS 1, was issued in 2011, terminated for lack of funds. The same was reissued under tender number KRA HQS 060 ICP 037 2011-2012 EGMS 2 in 2012 at a cost of 4.8 billion, and then terminated again in 2015 on grounds it could not cover the extended scope of excisable goods. Then KRA, Mr. Speaker, then initiated a tender number KRA HQ DP 423 2014-2015 EGMS 3, a direct procurement involving negotiation with the same tenderer who had bid and was awarded the first 2 tenderers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is also important to note that legal notice number 164, which was issued by Commissioner General on 2nd of July 2018, will push prices of fruits, juices, and vegetable juices from Kenya shillings per liter to Kenya shillings 50 cents starting August 1st. This is against Article 43 of the Constitution that guarantees Kenyans to access clean and safe water. Mr. Speaker, KRA, they've announced the rolling out of this stamp affixing. Surprisingly, in the course of this week on Monday, KRA issued a statement excluding Coca-Cola and other multinational companies and conglomerates on this program, giving them a grace period of 3 months. But it is being imposed on locally manufactured goods and local companies. Mr. Speaker, the 11th Parliament ordered KRA to stop implementation of EGMS until a forensic report by Auditor General is concluded and a final determination made by the House. I have appeared before Public Investment Committee today, which is still looking into the matter. It is not yet concluded. Finally, I requested the Committee on Delegated Legislation to report to this House if the Excisable Goods Management System Regulation 2017 have been approved by Parliament as required by Statutory Instrument Act. Honorable Speaker, the purpose of this statement is to request through Honorable Speaker that the Public Investment Committee, which is investigating on the matter, to prevail upon Treasury to put on hold forthwith the implementation of EGMS until the committee concludes investigations on the procurement of SICPA to implement EGMS. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Well, I think to the best of my knowledge, that matter was referred at some point in the 11th Parliament to PIC, and PIC was advised to seek a special audit. Indeed, as I've already stated in my earlier communication, and PIC issued what they call the exit report at the tail end of the 11th Parliament. It was therefore incumbent upon the new committee to take over the matter and conclude it and bring that report to the House. A matter of this nature does not have to await the full completion of consideration of other reports on other agencies because of its nature, because it came by, you are dealing with a special audit report. So Public Investments Committee, whose chairman I can see is in the House, and even though the Speaker has no eyes, is able to see, is requested to move with speed and bring to the House your consideration of that matter. But I think there's the related matter on the current ones. I think that's a matter that should be considered by the Committee on Delegated Legislation and table a report as would be appropriate. Honorable Nasir, you want to say something, the chair of PIC?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to confirm that Honorable Kutuni was with us today, and he provided quite a lot of in-depth information. And in that meeting today, we were together with representatives from the Office of the Auditor General, and the report that the Office of the Auditor General has actually prepared was more of a skeleton, because the information that Honorable Kutuni has been able to present to the committee today has more flesh in it. And we had planned, and we even invited the Commissioner General to come before the committee this coming Tuesday. However, he has written to us and he has requested that he comes on the 7th of August. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, we can be able that from 7th, if we are given a period of 10 days where we will insist on the importance, so that we can be able to table a proper report from 7th, within a period of 10 days, the committee will sit and interrogate every single person who is involved. However, Mr. Speaker, we need your guidance on this particular matter. Honorable Kutuni was right in actually stating, and when we look at all the facts that are there, is that the Commissioner General, and I'm looking at this on face value from every single document that we have, is that there's a lot of flaws in this particular tendering process and this whole process of the EGMS. And Honorable Kutuni's request was that maybe a possibility where Parliament can put on hold this system from going on until, and I've informed him that the letter that we will be sending to and will request the clerk that the letter that will be sent to the Commissioner General is that the committee's advice is that this is going to be put on hold until that report is adopted by Parliament. We stand guided by your on the way forward on this particular matter. However, I do stand with Honorable Kutuni that with whatever we have, the face value of it all, it is imperative, it is very, very important, Mr. Speaker, that KRA does not surcharge Kenyans this particular taxation, which is going to be a big shame on this country.
Well, I don't know what, because the chair of Finance Committee is in the House. Ordinarily, a statement of this nature cannot form the subject of debate, but in view of the issues raised by the Honorable Kutuni, I think it's important if the chair of Finance is aware of that legal notice, the new one. Because if it purports to come by way of a statutory instrument, which is the only way it can be implemented, then it has to be gazetted, and within 7 days of the gazettement, be tabled before this House. Otherwise, of course, it will be offending Article 94 of the Constitution that clearly provides that no body or authority has power to make provision having the force of law in Kenya except Parliament. I don't know, Chair of Finance, are you aware of this new? You know, I don't want the members of PIC to begin discussing this because I would want the committee to really consider the matter. I'm satisfied with what the chair has explained. But Chair of Finance, are you aware of this? Are you able to shed light? Because we need to, the Honorable Kutuni has raised the matter he has raised is quite weighty. And it's only fair that all the relevant committees that may have interacted with the issues is raised, particularly the legal notice, the current one. Chair of Finance, are you aware of this particular one?
Okay, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this particular chance to comment on this weighty issue. Mr. Speaker, this particular notice is not new to myself, but not in terms of our committee. It has not been brought to our committee, and we have never seen it. But of course, I'm just aware, just like any other member of Parliament or any other member of the public, in terms of the normal way of Kenyans debating these kind of issues. But Mr. Speaker, your comment about it is very important, that the way so many issues, especially touching on taxation and other charges, have been prosecuted in this country is not very good. You know, the members of the public have really wondered. Sometimes they are threatened with charges, not only taxation. It includes also so many impending issues which actually prohibit
Honorable Limo, you know, I don't want a debate.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Because, you know, I would want the reason I thought I needed to find out, but it's good you have said you have not interacted with the same legal notice. But I can see the chair of the Public Investments Committee still wants to say something on it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided, but
Because
I just want to say that we have not seen it, and this is just one of the other issues which prohibit business in the country, like charges which are now being done by banks without passing this house. This house is a legal, it is a legislation house, and we have to stop the way people operate in this country without passing through this house. This house has to stamp its authority.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying that, indeed, honourable members, it's fair that we all familiarize ourselves with that Article 94. No person, body or authority has power to make provision having the force of law in Kenya, except Parliament. So if something is being done out there which has semblance of being a law, which has not passed through this house, it's subject of declaration of being null and void. And I think it's only fair that the executive and any other person, body, should familiarize themselves with that if you are purporting to impose something that that appears like it is legal, you are telling a person you should do this, you are doing it because there's a rule which has been prescribed. It can, on recommendation of our committees, declare them null and void. In fact, under the Statutory Instruments Act, we can void them. Honorable Nasir, you wanted to say something? I will hear.
Yes.
Let me just hear the chair, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just a bit of a point of information to my fellow chair. What happened is KRA, after last parliament, what KRA did, because when the last PIC, which I was also a member, when they raised this matter and they realized that there was a huge blunder, they did bring that request for it to go to delegated legislation. However, the timing at which it was brought was a time when Parliament was actually dissolved. Parliament was actually, we did not have members at that particular moment. I stand to be corrected. But that is the information that I have. I have not even seen the document myself. But today morning, when I was interrogating this matter, the information that I got was that they did bring this. However, it has not even reached the desk. And I have not seen this document, so I do stand to be corrected. However, Mr. Speaker, and this is something that I have raised with yourself, and I'm hoping that this House needs to set an example, is that allow us, Mr. Speaker, that when we see things are hefty like this and people are breaking laws to this magnitude, please do allow us, part of the rightful friends of the committee, and PIC would like to set an example, would like to invite the DCI and the EACC to sit there. So when these people who are blindly taking Kenyans for a ride, when they leave the corridors of this very, very honorable House, they will leave not just with a suit and a tie, but with handcuffs as well. And I think that is the right way, that this House needs to set an example to every single person that we can and we shall ensure that we protect Kenyans, Mr. Speaker.
Unfortunately, you may have to go to a jurisdiction in a neighboring jurisdiction for you to go that route. People appearing before you must still walk out in their ties and councils and anything else that they will be wearing, because the committee reports must be adopted by the plenary. So now, if you go and discuss a few things, then you start telling people to remove their ties and shoes. Now, you'll be now adopting a procedure unknown to this House. So just be up to, unless you change your rules and to some extent some provisions of the Constitution, it may not happen very soon. So allow them to continue wearing their shoes and ties and suits at all until you have made a final finding, because surely it will not be the right way under our rules. Honorable Amalo, what did you want to say on this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this matter, as my chair has clearly put it, it was in the last parliament. And going back to the Statutory Instrument Act, you've guided us many times that the implementing agency, once the regulation has been gazetted, then it comes into practice. Then they can continue implementing. Then afterwards, when Parliament discusses it, in any case, if it nullifies, it's when it can be stopped. And today, when Honorable Kutuni was appearing before a committee, I was, I'm a good student, Mr. Speaker. I was guiding as per the way you've been guiding the plenary, that it doesn't harm. It's not a must that that regulation must be discussed on the floor of the House. It can, KRA can exercise discretion and implement. Maybe it's the responsibility now of the regulation, the regulation committee, the one of honorable delegated legislation, to be able to know whether this particular regulation was submitted in Parliament for them to look into. Because Honorable Kutuni indicated, and my chair has also indicated, that this particular regulation has not been submitted as we speak as per now. And the matter that Honorable Kutuni has raised is very critical, particularly to the consumer, because the producers, obviously this extra cost is being carried forward to the consumer. And now it's making the prices to be very high with the inflation and all that. And it's something that you should be able to move with speed so that we'll be able to resolve, so that we can be able to protect the consumer, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
The requirement is for within 7 days after gazettement, the regulations must be tabled before the House. If they have not been tabled, then they are not, even if they are being gazetted and they have not been tabled, then they are not, they have no force of law. It's only after tabling, in terms of the Statutory Instruments Act, it's only after tabling within the period of 7 days, that they can assume some force of law until annulled or otherwise dealt with by the House. And it is the Statutory Instruments Act provides that anything done on the authority of such legislation, subsidiary legislation, that has been tabled is lawful, is legal, until annulled. I saw the Honorable Gitonga Murugara. You want to say something on the same?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Those regulations were actually brought to the attention of the Committee on Delegated Legislation. Unfortunately, the chairperson is not here, and the vice chairperson, but I can speak on their behalf that last week, these regulations were brought to the attention of the members of the committee, and we questioned really whether these had been brought before Parliament and whether the committee had approved. Today we had a meeting, and again we raised that issue. These regulations that appear to be in force, when were they brought before Parliament, and have they ever been approved? We were informed that part of the 8 subsidiary legislations, some of which were tabled last week, possibly they are part of that, but we were not able to confirm, and we have asked the Secretariat to ensure that those regulations are brought before the committee, they are looked at speedily, and if procedure was not complied with per the Statutory Instruments Act, we would definitely annul them, because we believe this is somebody who is trying to enforce some illegality through the back door. So we are looking into that, and we shall move the speed, and then possibly a report will be coming to this House annulling those regulations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Member for Mbeere South.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I raise to make a statement on the allocation of land in the Mwea settlement scheme in Mbeere South constituency in Embu County. And this is not to be confused with the Mwea irrigation scheme, which is in Kirinyaga County. Honourable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I wish to request a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Lands regarding allocation of land in the Mwea settlement scheme. Honourable Speaker, allow me to lay a brief historical background on the issue as follows. Mwea settlement scheme, which is error number 26461, FL number 317/30, of approximate size 17,830.6 hectares, as per Kenya Gazette notice number 577 under cap 288 of 30th January 2004, is located in Makema location, Mbeere South Sub-County, Embu County in Kenya. It is part of a larger Mwea Trust land, which comprises of Mwea Game Reserve, Mwea Settlement Scheme, and 4 other adjudication areas, namely Karaba, Wachoro, Makema, and Yakanau. The challenges facing administration of Mwea land date back to the 1970s, when multiple court cases and orders from Mbeere, Kamba, Embu, and Kikuyu communities, which had been served to the Ministry of Lands, National Land Commission, and the county government, as well as their officers, had hindered the issuance of the title deeds. Honorable Speaker, various task forces and commissions were formed over the years to resolve the problem without success. These include A Akelo Task Force of 1990, J. Sesoni Commission of 1985, and Tuanga Verification Task Force of 2001. The National Assembly Departmental Committee on Lands also made attempts to address the matter in 2013 and eventually resolved that adjudication of Mwea settlement scheme should be done and all pending cases should be expedited. The National Land Commission, the County Government of Embu, local leaders and elders representing each community group in the area embarked on an alternative dispute resolution mechanism from 2013 to 2016, in which they resolved to share the land as follows: Bere community, 40%, Embu community, 20%, Kamba community, 30%, and the Kikuyu community, 10%. Each community subsequently submitted a list of their beneficiaries to the National Land Commission. Following these successful negotiations, the then pending court cases were withdrawn and a consent was recorded in court, paving the way for the planning, surveying, allocation, registration, issuance of titles, beaconing, and this process were completed peacefully, and finally, resettlement. Honorable Speaker, sir, during the resettlement exercise, there was a major disruption from a hostile group of young people, which tried to block the title holders from accessing their parcels. This led to a violent confrontation between the youths and the security forces, which led to a loss of one life and several injuries, and thereafter, the suspension of the resettlement exercise by the Ministries of Lands and Physical Planning and Interior and Coordination of National Government. At present, Mr. Speaker, there has been displacement of beneficiaries, and unidentified persons from outside the county are now forcibly taking over the parcels of land in unclear circumstances. Honorable Speaker, in a statement, the chairperson should inform on the following. When are the Ministers of Lands and Physical Planning and Interior and Coordination of National Government going to resume the resettlement exercise? Secondly, whether the two ministries are aware that illegitimate groups have hijacked the settlement process with the hope of being included as beneficiaries and have illegally started taking occupation of portions of land by moving in and constructing makeshift structures at the expense of legitimate title holders. Whether the two ministries are aware that the legitimate landowners are mobilizing themselves to defend their land from infiltration and may forcibly enter the land to resettle themselves to avoid impending displacement by the infiltrators. What measures, Mr. Speaker, are being put in place by the government to forestall any potential violence among the various groups mobilizing to either take over or to defend the land? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Leader Majority? Sorry, a Leader Majority is to give the statement. I think that somebody wants to comment on this. Okay. I see the member for Kangundo, yes. Fabian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on this issue of the land, especially Mwea, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry. This is not a petition. This is not a petition. Sorry. It is not a petition. It is not subject to comments and clarifications. It's a request for a statement from the chair of the Departmental Committee on Lands. So, chair of Lands. No? What? Chair of Lands has left. She assumed that business is over for the week. Then, Leader of Majority, can you relay the message that I think given the, it seems like he has given a long history. I think it's not, I cannot possibly expect that statement to be issued in a week's time. It's the kind of thing that would require I think the chairperson and the committee perhaps to look at. But if they are just going to seek information from other government agencies, then it can be done within 30 days, 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Very well, 2 weeks. Leader Majority, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44, subsection 2A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee that met Tuesday this week at the rise of the House to plan for business that will be considered today and Tuesday next week. Honorable Speaker, on Tuesday, the following bills are scheduled for debate in the second reading. The Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill 2018, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2018, the Psycho Societies Amendment Bill 2018, the Warehouse Receipts Bill 2018, and the Health Laws Amendment Bill 2018. Speaker, all these pieces of legislation, the respective committees have tabled their reports. Honorable Speaker, I urge the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security to expedite the consideration of the nominee for appointment to the Public Service Commission chair and table their report on or before August 1st, 2018. Honorable Speaker, on questions before committees, the following cabinet secretaries are scheduled to appear before the committees on Tuesday, 31st July, 2018. The Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya will appear before the Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs to answer questions from Honorable Ndindi Nyoro MP in the mini chamber, County Hall at 10 a.m. The Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Youth and Gender, Honorable Margaret Kobia, will appear before the Committee on Labor and Social Protection to answer questions from the following members: Honorable Michael Mushira MP, Honorable Naisula Lesuda MP, at the main chamber Parliament building at 10 a.m. The Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Honorable Kiunjuri, will appear before the Committee on Agriculture and Livestock to answer questions from the following members: Honorable Benjamin Washiali MP in the mini chamber County Hall at 11:30. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee will reconvene on Tuesday, 31st July 2018 at the rise of the House to consider the business for the coming week. I now lay this statement on the table of the House.
Next on that.
Order number 8, motion. Report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and members of the Commission on Administrative Justice.
The Honorable, anyway, before we proceed, let me recognize the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of the students from the following institutions. Students from Mala Secondary School, Mboni constituency, Makueni County. Those from Aria Secondary School, Starehe constituency, Nairobi County. They are welcome to observe proceedings in the National Assembly this afternoon. Honorable Washieli, what is your point of intervention?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I am rising to comment on this order number 8, Mr. Speaker. We were following this debate the entire yesterday afternoon session, Mr. Speaker. By the time this debate ended, members had started repeating themselves, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I was just going to request the House, understanding order number 95, that the mover of this motion is called to reply, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Honourable members, the proposal by the leader, the majority whip, is that mover be called upon to reply. For me to do that, let me put the question, which is that the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to very, very sincerely thank the members of this House for their contributions in support of this motion. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, all those members who contributed, Mr. Speaker, supported this motion and supported the committee's recommendation for the approval of the 3 nominees for appointment. Mr. Speaker, one issue which I noted during the debate was that there is need to establish these commission offices in all the 47 counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think as it is now, there are about 5 counties where this commission is present. And Mr. Speaker, even as we approve the appointment of the chairperson and of the members of this commission, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to them that there is need to establish in every county officers for the commission, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to call upon my colleagues, even as we interact with our constituents, we request them to understand the position that we have taken as a House, Mr. Speaker. And I want to really thank members of this House. I want to thank, Mr. Speaker, your office and that of the clerk for the support he gave the committee during the vetting process, and to thank members of the committee and this House for their support and supporting this motion. Mr. Speaker, I reply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to reply, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, honourable members, having confirmed that the House has quorum, I therefore propose to put the question, which is that taking in consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in their report on the vetting of the nominees for approval as chairperson and members of the Commission on Administrative Justice, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, July 25, 2018, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 250, Clause 2, Paragraph B of the Constitution, and Section 11, Subsection 7 of the Commission on Administrative Justice Act. This House approves the appointment of the following persons to the Commission on Administrative Justice. 1, the Honorable Florence Kajuju, Chairperson. 2, The Honorable Washington Opio Sati, member. 3, Mrs. Luce Kamunye Dongo, member. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order. Sorry, honor members, this is for information. At the request of the chairperson and membership of the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, which is currently in Lamu County, the business appearing as order number 11 is taken out because the committee is not around there. There's some engagement in the county of Lamu. So the business appearing as order number 8 is taken out of the order paper. Number 11. Number 11. Next order.
Committee of the Whole House. Order number 9, Committee of the Whole House.
Very well, honorable members, we are now in the committee of the whole house. We're dealing with the Public-Private Partnership Amendment Bill 2017. Not a very lengthy bill, actually. 16 clauses. So just some little patience and we are done on this particular bill. So we shall start now. Clause 3. Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 3 be part of the bill. There is no amendment on that one. I now put the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clause 4. I propose a question that clause 4 be part of the bill. Chair of Finance, seems there is an amendment on that one.
Yes. All right. Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 4 of the bill be amended by deleting the proposed new section 3A and substituting therefore with the new section 3A that the provisions of the Public Procurement and Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 shall be exercised subject to the relevant provision of this act and apply to the contracts under this act only in the event where there is no express provision setting out the applicable procurement procedures under this act. Mr. Chair, the import of this is that under the PPP projects, the procurement procedures which are in Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act shall be exempted from applying to this when there is express procedure relevant to PPP, so that it doesn't become like a blanket for PPP, because it's a very special way of procurement, not the normal procurement process.
Well, Honorable, I think you have moved the amendment. They had an indication that you wanted actually to drop the amendments, that particular amendment, but if that is the case, we shall proceed. Very well. Chair, Chair, could you just confirm that? I'm sure there could be another member who is seated next to.
Yeah, you know, the initial one, Mr. Chair, was actually amended again, and that is why, you know, it is sending some wrong signals that we had intended to drop. You know, initially in the report, we had proposed to carry it the way we are proposed, but after further consultations with the National Treasury, the original intention to amend it was dropped, and therefore, the section 3A shall read as follows, that the Public Procurement and Asset and Disposal Act 2015 shall not apply to the contracts under this act.
So, just to be clear, we proceed as you have proposed, Honorable Chair Light?
Yes.
Yes, just is for me to be clear. I propose a question that cross. What's the issue, Honorable Miri?
Thank you, Chair, for giving me this opportunity. Chair, it's not just, with the due respect, I think it's not just important that it's agreeable between you and the Chair. I think we need to, as members, also be clear what's going on, because if I look at the order paper, what the Chair of the committee has read is not what is in the order paper. So if he's actually seeking to further amend what is in the order paper, then he needs to do it formally. He cannot just do amendments in a very quote Juakali manner, Chair. And so, Chair, I'm actually requesting that it doesn't matter who he has consulted with. He has the powers as the Chair that if he's doing further amendments, it can actually do it here, but he needs to do it in a manner that is procedurally acceptable.
Very well. Let's do this so that then we are clear. The Chair has actually proposed some amendments. I have to put that question, to propose that question, and then he will have the floor to explain further. Honorable members, I will propose a question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Yes, Majority Leader.
Chair, there is nothing the Chair of Finance is doing a further amendment. The Chair of Finance has moved the new section 3A, and it's well said in the order paper. It says the provisions of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 shall be exercised subject to the relevant provisions of the Act and apply to contracts under this Act only to the extent where there is no express provision setting out the applicable procurement procedures. Now, the variance between what the committee had and the National Treasury is the PPP contracts will still be subjected to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. But where a provision is not found in the Act of 2015, then the National Treasury will have a discretion. That's the only thing. And it is what is in the order paper. So the chair needs to explain better to Honorable Mili and the rest of the House.
Very well. Very well. Yes, Honorable Nyikal.
Chair, what the chair actually read is what is in the original bill. So what that would mean, therefore, is that then he's dropping the amendment. Because what I see in the bill, 3A, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 shall not apply to the contracts under this act. That is what he read, Chair. So if that is the case, then he's dropping the amendment.
Very well. Yes, Majority Leader. And I'm sure the chair is getting what is...
For Nyikal, the clause 4 of the bill is being amended by the chair by deleting the proposed new section 3A and substituting therefore with the following new section. Okay? That's with the following new section which he has moved. Yeah. Yes, that's it.
Very well, very well. I think that is clear now. I will now proceed to put the question. I now put the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 4 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 5 and 6.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 5 and 6 be part of the bill. There isn't any amendment on this one. I now put the question that clause 5 and 6 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 7.
I propose a question that clause 7 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, please, and if you could explain the import of the amendment so that the members are able to go along with you. Honorable Chair.
All right. It's going off. All right. Mr. Chair, this particular amendment, which was being proposed on this particular section, clause 7, on this particular clause 7, hereby is being dropped, Mr. Chair. And the import of this, Mr. Chair, is that having proposed this particular amendment, there was a further consultation between the Committee of Finance and National Treasury, and it is proposed that this particular amendment on clause 7, Mr. Chair, be dropped. And the import of this is that the initial thinking was that there was a proposal to do away with a PPP committee. And now it was again reversed that that committee is still very important, and therefore we are proposing to drop this amendment.
Okay, very well. Was it majority? Yeah, I had proposed a question, and if the amendment has been, yes, Chair. Yes, I'll give you a chance.
One of the reasons why Honorable Mili and Honorable Nyikal are uncomfortable is because I think the chair did not internalize these amendments, the input of this is just to bring on board the role of county government. And in fact, if you read it, it says, by inserting the words in consultation with the county government immediately after the words cabinet secretary. This proposed separate amendment by the National Treasury, of course, it's saying after consulting with the National Treasury, now they have agreed that there must be the element of county government in consultation. Particularly, for example, if you want to privatize the sugar sector, for example, you want to privatize the sugar sector in Kenya, there's no way you can privatize those sugar sector and get investors without consulting the current county governments. Chair, I think I'm right. Am I Chair of Finance? Yeah, it's as simple as that.
Input of this. Initially, the consultation was between the PPP committee and the county governments. But now, you know, the proposed amendment was because there was a proposal to do away with the PPP committee. We had then to bring in an amendment to say that the cabinet secretary will be the one doing consultation with the county governments. Now that we are bringing back the PPP committee, then there will be no need of carrying the initial amendment to bring in the cabinet secretary, because right now we are going back to the PPP committee. So we have to delete this to remove the role of the cabinet secretary in consulting the county government. That is the input of this.
Shall I give one or two other members, then we proceed? Honorable Miri Odiabo.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I have two major concerns. Chair, one, I don't even know whether there are two or three. One, if you listen to what the chair moved, he said this is where we are dropping this amendment. So if you were to go by that, then it means that we are not even going to discuss the substance. On the other hand, Honorable Duale is discussing the substance, meaning is, in a way, is actually opposing what the chair is doing. It's insisting on the original, from my understanding, it's insisting on the original amendment by the committee. And so that's my first concern, because the chair seems to be proposing, he actually said, I'm dropping this amendment. If you are dropping this amendment, it means that the proposed amendment that is in the order paper is actually dropped. Secondly, so you need to clarify what he's saying. Secondly, Chair, my other concern is this. The chair referred to clause 7. And when I'm looking at clause 7, and even the MPs around me are actually saying, do we have the same order paper? The clause 7 I have does not make any reference to what he or Honorable Duale are talking about. It's a totally different thing. It's page 844. Does not seem to have the same things you are talking about. It's a totally different thing in clause 7.
It is.
Then my other concern, that's why I need, Chair, you know, when you come to this level, this is a technical level, and this is actually the lawmaking part of Parliament. It's unfortunate a lot of members run away at this point, and this is actually the lawmaking part. And Chair, because it's a lawmaking part, you need to be patient with members, and sometimes we even refer to pages, and we refer to clauses, and we refer to lines.
On that one, let me just, because I think it's important, as you have said, to get very clear, even on the page. On the order paper, it is 846. The one you are referring on 844 is a new clause. It's a new clause altogether. So you could be referring, you should be referring to page 846. But please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Because actually on mine it's not, oh yeah, it's, sorry, I've noticed from the other side it's a new clause. Thank you. I stand guided. But having said that, Chair, that is why it is actually important for us to go slowly and sometimes even refer to pages. Because we are at page 844 with a clause 7, and which is a new clause, and you are at 846 at the bottom, which I've now seen. So please, if you can go slowly. Finally, my other concern, Chair, again, if I have missed something, you will help. I'm seeing us referring also to sections of the Parent Act that we are amending. And if you actually look at the proposed bill, some of those sections that we are referring to are not here. So, Chair, it becomes, I've raised it before in this House, and I want to raise it again. Like we have referred to section 4 before, Chair, and it is not here. If you look at this bill, we have section 3, 15, 30, 24, 31, and I know sometimes the persons who publish this are not fair to us as members in the House, because especially when the systems are still not working, I cannot go online to look for an online copy of this. So sometimes we float when we don't have the entire sections of the Act. And again, I have said I start guided unless we are moving too fast, I'm not seeing, but there are sections we've referred to here which I am not seeing in this bill.
Very well. Yes, Majority Leader, but Honorable Miri Odhiambo is very pertinent, just to get for all of us to move to get the Majority Leader.
Chair, I really want to bring Honorable Mili to attention. In page 2106, section 4 is there in the bill. 2106 on top there. So, yeah, so section 4 is there. And of course, I'm sure the other confusion was, we are not dealing with the new clauses now. We'll deal with the new clauses, as you know it, Honorable Mili, at the end. But section 4, if you have the bill, okay? The first page, you have section 3, you have section 4, and of course, within section 4, we have the section 3A. So,
yes, no, I'm delaying on this particular matter so that then we move together, because I think it's important. Honorable Miri Odhiambo, then I will come to Honorable Nyikal.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate. I think Honorable Dwale does not get what I'm saying, but he's inadvertently enabled me to see where the problem is. I think when the member was moving, instead of referring to the clause, he said section. When we are talking about section, you go to the back of this bill, and there's no section 4 because that is a section that should be lifted from the Parent Act. But when you are talking of clause 4, then it means it is the clause you are proposing to amend. So maybe if the chair can be very clear, when you say section, you are referring to the act which we are seeking to amend. So I am actually busy looking for that section at the back, and I don't find. But because Dwale has inadvertently made me realize that we are actually referring to clause. He is not amending section 4, he's seeking to amend clause 3. Thank you.
Very well. So that we proceed, what we'll be doing is to give the chair a bit of more time. Then remember, as you have said, Honorable Miri Odhiambo, just for purposes of just exactly what you have said, the new clauses, there are new clauses in the bill that will be amending sections in the Parent Act. And so when we are doing the amendment, we can move slowly, so then we are all together. Shall we, now, in that case, Honorable Nyikal, so that then we move.
Well, I'll also just say we move a little slowly because the explanation we have been given about clause 7, actually there's an A and B, but the explanation we have been given is about B, which I understand. Maybe I missed, have we got the import of A? Because there are 2 amendments, Chair.
We are not talking of any amendment now. It has been dropped.
The whole
so actually, yes, it is dropped.
But the explanation given is with B,
which makes sense. You know, in essence, Honorable Nyikal, that section is not amended. So actually,
true.
Yes.
True, Chair. But in order for you to understand and take part, you need to know what is being dropped. B, we understand, because now there's no need. But A, we did not get the import of dropping A.
Yes.
That is all I'm asking for.
Very well, very well. Honorable members, in that circumstance, I'll put the question so that then we proceed on that one. What clause was this? I now put the question that clause 7 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Clauses 8, 9, 10, and 11. I propose a question that clause 8, 9, 10, and 11 be part of the bill. There are no amendments on this one. I now put the question that clause 8, 9, 10, and 11 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clause 12. Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 12 be part of the bill. There is clearly an amendment by the Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair, let me explain first, so that members could really understand, so that they will not get mixed up. You see, in the order paper, on the order paper, most of these amendments which are being proposed on the order paper was actually intended to delete from the original or a parent act, to delete a committee called PPP committee, which was carrying out functions in the process of prosecuting the issues around PPP projects. Now, Treasury initially.
Chair,
let me explain. Let me explain.
Okay. It's okay, Honorable Chair.
Chair, let me explain.
I just want to give you a small guidance. Please move. Move fast, then you explain.
All right. All right.
Yes.
And on clause 12, I propose to drop clause 12. And the import of this,
the amendment clause 12. You know you are being on record, Honorable Chair. You are dropping amendment.
Yes, I'm dropping amendment on clause 12. That is it. The import of this, Mr. Chair, is that we are returning the role of PPP committee. We are actually reinstating, because in the proposed amendments which we had proposed to do, we were actually removing PPP committee from operation and giving the functions of that PPP committee to the cabinet secretary. Now, the Treasury itself, the National Treasury, came back and convinced the committee in a meeting today that they have thought of it and they have realized that it is important to retain the PPP committee. And therefore, what we are supposed to do now, we are dropping the proposed amendments on clause 12 so that we reinstate the initial operation of PPP committee. So I actually propose to drop the amendment on clause 12.
Yes. Just for, if there is a drop, the proposal is just to drop, so that, but it's good for members to get the import of that. Yes, Honorable Majority, then I'll give.
I think I agree with the members. You know, the chair will be dropping so many amendments where in the previously they removed the PPP committees in the report. So when you see him dropping it, because those powers, ideally the amendments was given to the minister. Yes. So now you'll see him a number of places after convinced by the National Treasury that there is a relevance, there's an importance for the PPP committees. And the PPP committees are appearing. So what he's now done is, he has left it the way it is in the bill. Yes. No, Honorable Millie, even if he's dropping, the procedure is that he must explain to the House why he's dropping. Yeah, so, and you are the one who said he must explain. So right now, please wait. Every action that a member or the chair is doing must be explained. That's why Honorable Nyekal is here. It's one of the serious. So
Honorable Nyekal,
we will see the PPP committee appearing.
Do you want to speak to this?
I just want to strengthen and support, because now we have actually had a very good explanation. And what really is happening, if you go to the back and you find, then it makes sense. So I think the chair would help us a lot, so that if he makes reference of what is being dropped at the back, we see it, then he say, I've dropped that, I support.
Very well. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 12 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 13.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 13 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair.
Mr. Chair, in the same spirit, I also drop the amendment to clause 13 because we are retaining the PPP committee.
Leader, yes, you have a further amendment. Now, in the circumstances, now that the chair has dropped, you have the floor.
Chair, I beg to propose that clause 13 be amended as provided for in the order paper. It's in page 853. Honorable Amos Kimunya, you know, and Honorable Nyekal, we need the... And I think clause 13, which is, if I read, because good members be aware, that the county government may ensure, may enter into a public-private partnership agreement and shall be responsible for, the rest is not clear from the order paper. The involvement of the county government in the PPP framework has already been addressed by clause 12. 12B and 12C above. Therefore, the Finance Committee amendment may be, of course, dropped. And that's, I think, what my amendment is basically trying to do, just to strengthen that bit which the chair has dropped in 12C, 12B.
Very well, yep. Honorable members, let me propose a question first. I propose a question that clause 13 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. Very well. Yes, Honorable.
I want to ask a very fundamental question because maybe all of us are on the same page. What you are saying is that actually the committee that was reinstated, the county government were represented in that committee. Yeah, because that then helped.
Yes.
That's
yes, I think Honorable Nyekal was just confirming what the import or what the majority leader has actually just said. Very well. In the circumstances, I now put the question that clause 13 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 13 be, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 14.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 14 be part of the bill. There is an amendment, Honorable Chair. The chair is consulting the pages, so don't harass him. He is consulting the papers and the pages.
Yeah,
Chair, you have the floor.
Yeah, don't be in a hurry, members. Yeah. All right. Yeah. You know, there was a lot of consultations happening here with the majority leader talking with the yes. Mr. Chair, in the same spirit, I am dropping amendment to clause 14 in the same spirit of the previous dropping because of the PPP committee.
Yes, what is the point of order, Honorable Osotsi?
Chair, I think we need adequate explanation on this because what we have in the order paper is contrary with what the chair is dropping all the time. Because in the order paper, there is a proposal that the committee be replaced by the cabinet secretary and also the unit, the so-called public-private partnership unit has been enhanced with more functions. So if you look at the membership of the committee, there is no representation in for counties. And yet we are also talking about counties here. So we are being confused that the amendments which were there are now being dropped without sufficient explanation from the chair.
Before I come to you, Chair, Honorable Osotsi, the amendments belong to the chair and the committee. When they drop them, there is very little you could do, but the chair would be gracious enough to explain. I think that is a fair request, just to explain why he is dropping, and I think the chair did a bit of it, but if you could do it further.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, to be fair to Mr. Honorable Otsotsi, I will explain. But in fairness, we will not be allowing members to take us back. I had explained very, very well. One is that in the initial proposal, in the order paper, we were proposing to drop, to remove PPP committee and replace or give its functions to the cabinet secretary. But further to that, the National Treasury came to the committee and said they have now thought otherwise, that the PPP committee is important, and therefore we should reinstate it. The import of the droppings which we are doing is to ensure that the PPP committee now...
Leader. So, Chair, I go to the bill that we are dealing with because members of parliament are fairly busy people. I want to refer to the Parent Act and the section we are amending for comparison. Can the chair please point to me that section 56 in this bill as is provided by our procedure? There is nothing. Chair, it becomes very difficult for us to move amendment unless by faith. And I'm finding that today I'm actually moving amendments by faith. And I don't think faith would work very well here, Chair. I need to have the actual sections, which is not here. This bill ends at 51, and we are amending section 56. So somebody was lazy, and I don't think it is fair on members of parliament who are busy. Because we will not, we are doing so many amendments, especially at committee stage, that the least we can have is those amendments so that we can make quick references to them. That's why you have that, Chair. That's what I've been raising all along. And I think that is something I'm glad the majority leader is here. That is important that you raise it in the House Business Committee, that anomaly should be corrected. We are all busy, and we don't have the time. Pardon? No, it's not supply of the Principal Act. It is not supply of Principal Act. Chair, I think you are the majority leader was actually complaining that the women rep of Nairobi was confusing Honorable Tsotsi, but he's the one being confused by the women rep of Nairobi is not listening to what I'm saying. I know she's beautiful, but look at me also. I'm also beautiful, especially when I'm talking. Look at me. So, Chair, can I please explain to the majority leader? And be convinced, if you look at my beauty, you will also understand.
Honorable, explain to the House. Explain to the House.
Chair, let me explain to the House. Chair, if what the majority leader is moving to amend is clause 15 at page 854, and I have actually read what he's saying, after the approval of the project and financial risk assessment report under section 56, that is 56 of the Parent Act. So I want to understand the 56 that the majority leader is talking about. Where do I go to? I go to the amendment bill. And the amendment bill, look at memorandum. Chair, please look at, you know, Honorable Kimunya has been in this house for very long and is misleading. Please, listen to me, I'm the lawyer in the house. Listen to me, I can train you. Chair, look at memorandum of objects and reasons. If you look at the section, the part on memorandum of objects and reasons.
Honorable Kimunya, Honorable Miri Odhiambo has the floor, and she has a point. Please make the point, then we move.
Yes, the point is I want to refer you to the bill, the one in green, the one we are dealing with. And if you look at that bill on page 2111, it says memorandum of objects and reasons. And the page after memorandum of object and reasons, it refers you to the sections that we are amending. And I'm saying where section 56, it is non-existent and we cannot move by faith. We must move by sight. Can we provide the site of section 56?
Very well, Honorable Miri. We'll give the majority leader, then I'll give direction.
For future, the Honorable Miri Odhiambo should not sit next to Honorable Pasaris. Because the comparison is far apart. But Mr. Speaker, Honorable Miri is right. When a bill is published, the amended sections are here at the back in the Parliament Act. But when a member of Parliament introduces an amendment, it is for the House or that member to go and get the Principal Act, which is here, the chair has. So at the time when this bill was being published, all the sections in the Principal Act which were being amended are found here. Okay? So there is no way either me or the House Business Committee will anticipate an amendment of a member to this bill and then go back and provide. But I'm sure where I agree with her, where I agree with the Honorable Miri Odhiambo, is that in future, the clerk's office should provide amendments that relate to certain sections of a Principal Act as part of the order paper, so that you can have ease of reference. And please, Honorable Miri, in future, now that I've explained, be away from where Pasaris is sitting, because Honorable Pasaris, not only you, you know, the way I can be distracted by Musimba is totally different. I'm a human being. Distracted by Cicely Barire, by Pasaris. So today, why you are getting confused is because you are sitting with somebody. So when we look at you, we don't see you and we don't hear you.
I think the Honorable Nyikao, let's deal with let's go to the substantive. Honorable Nyikao, must you really speak to this, because you know it's an issue that has been raised by.
Let me move.
Because Honorable Nyikao, you'll be the first I'll give after because. But for majority leader, I think the point is very valid, that in terms of provision of the text, but so that we get to the substance of the amendment, Honorable Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 15 be amended as provided in the order paper. And basically is making it more tidier. Where it says that execution after the approval of the project and the financial risk of assessment report under section 56, which is the one we're talking about, the contracting contract authority shall execute the contract awarded to that bidder. If you relate that to what is in the bill, it's just making it more stronger and more powerful in terms, of at what stage it will a contract be executed, and at what stage will a contract be awarded, and that is, I'm saying, after a proper assessment report is provided under section 56. So it's a bit more clear.
Before I give you, Honorable Nyikao, allow me to propose that amendment. I propose a question that clause 15 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. Yes, Honorable Nyikao.
Chair, what the majority leader explaining is actually reasonable. But what Mili Odhiambo said is so important that we cannot amend. I want to bring the future now. Yes. And the way we can do it, Chair, is we have technical people here, and if it is this 1 or 2 lines, they can actually read. We have the acts here, so that members can know what they are amending. Yeah. So, so that's on our side. So you have clerks here who can pick this act. We don't have it here. It is not where it should be. And then they can read what the act says is this. At least we shall have followed and then support.
Very well, very well.
No, now the acts are here.
The point is made very clear. If there isn't any other intervention on that one, yes, Honorable Nyika. I'm sure there are acts here, Honorable Nyikal. Honorable Nyikal, there are acts here. I agree with you. Honorable Kimunya.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me just first of all state, for avoidance of doubt, that indeed the reason the order paper is applied before the sitting of the House is so that members can be able to refer to any content referred within the order paper. And, you know, so our section 57 within the Principal Act, if you have it, that's page 26, basically reads, the contracting authority shall, where the cabinet approves or parliament ratifies the undertaking of a project as a PPP, under this act, execute a contract awarded to that bidder. So basically, it's a tidying up of, you know, with the new amendment is tidying up that and avoiding the repetitions that are in the current act. So we really don't need to spend a lot of time on this one.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Very well, Honorable Kimunya. And I will now proceed. I now put the question that clause 15 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Now, you remember, honorable members, that there were two amendments, the one by the majority leader and the one by the chair. You will notice that the one by majority leader having passed, the one of the chair is read as negatory. Honorable Chair, if you notice that. Honorable Chair, you know the Honorable Chair is consulting with the majority leader. Yes, you may consult that, then we move together. Yes, but before, yes, Chair.
It's always good to listen. Because, you know, in the same spirit that Millie had mentioned that there is a problem in the way our bills are drafted, I can actually inform the House that the amendment which we intend to move on clause 15 is totally different from what Majority Leader moved. Because ours is referring to replacing the role of the cabinet with the cabinet secretary to make PPP projects approval go faster. And therefore, when we say that this has been replaced, you know, they are different. They are completely different. Because on the Parent Act, if you look at the Parent Act, the Parent Act, clause 56, is approval of the projects, which I think the amendment which the majority leader was doing. On my part, the section which I'm doing amendment is referring to section 57, execution of contract, where we are saying the Parent Act says the contracting authority shall, where the cabinet approves or parliament ratifies the undertaking of a project as a public-private partnership under this act, execute the contract awarded to that bidder. The amendment we are doing is to replace the cabinet with the cabinet secretary, and the justification for that is to make it go faster. So it doesn't relate. So it's only fair that you listen to the two differently.
Let's almost.
Yes, Honorable, and then I'll come this way. Honorable Kimunya, just for that particular issue, yes. Then I'll give the chair, give direction.
Honorable Chair, I think if the Chair of Finance would listen, the amendment we have just passed, brought by the leader, changed section 50, Article 57, section 57 of the Principal Act. And the effect of that was to delete whatever is in the current 57, which includes the reference to cabinet, and replaced it with a new simplified that read after approval of the project and financial risk assessment report under section 56, the contracting authority shall execute a contract awarded to the bidder. So with that amendment, it already removed the ambiguity that was there about the cabinet and all that. So the word cabinet does not exist anymore because it has already been amended by the leader of majority. So we actually, it kills any reference by the chair of the finance is referring to something that does not exist in the principal act because we have already removed that through the amendment we've just passed. Yeah.
Honorable Dr. Makari, well, let me just give one more person. I'll give direction because I think the direction is becoming even clearer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think the earlier point which was being made that we need to have the original bill when discussing some of these amendments now makes a lot of sense. If the amendment the leader of majority has proposed and has passed this House, it implies that we are putting all this power of approving this to only an individual. That is very dangerous. Very, very. You are saying you are replacing cabinet with not even now CS Treasury. It's any contracting authority. Majority leader, any contracting authority. That will be very dangerous for this country, yes, Mr. Chairman. Very dangerous for this country. But he can explain himself. But I think if what we have passed implies what Honorable Kamunya is saying, hiyo ni hatari sana.
Well, you know, the majority leader.
Honorable Makali, came late. In fact, we have been dealing with an entity called a committee, PPP committee. And that is the entity we are talking about. So what we have removed is that personification of a cabinet secretary. If the PPP committee, which is the entity, and can do an assessment report under section 6, and the contracting authority shall also execute the contract and award the tender. So we are back to a committee. Unlike you are not there because there are a number of amendments the chair has dropped that were referring to the cabinet secretary. So now this entity we're talking about is the PPP committee that even has membership from the county government.
Honorable member, I am Honorable Musimba, just a minute. The issue that we are discussing now is actually not the amendment. The amendment by the majority has passed. I'm just being gracious to open it up a bit so that then, it is we can't reopen that. It is already passed. But Honorable Musimba, what is it?
Chair, the import of what has been passed in terms of substituting cabinet to a CS, and and the distinction further that you're going to have a committee. The committee is fine as in the expediency of accelerating the PPPs. That's fine. But in terms of determining what projects are going to lie under PPPs, that is a sole obligation of the cabinet in terms of how they align. In terms of how they align, what is the priority projects? For instance, we're dealing with Big Four. And if government, through the normal budget making process, has already provided, say for instance, to provide funds for a certain project, and then the committee at Treasury goes ahead and says, this we're going to put under a PPP. You see, we are already creating a clash area. We are creating a clash area. So it is important. I know we've passed, but we need to look at this thing again to be able to align it, to ensure that the probity of what we are doing in terms of PPPs does not escape the prioritization of what is going to be, exactly, we have powers, but through the budget making process, that you don't go through a budget making process as committees and the House, and it gets negated by a committee sitting in Treasury, which says now this is going to PPPs. What happens to those funds?
Yes, yes, very well, very well. Honorable Agwenyi, you have even stood. Honorable Agwenyi, okay, very well. I have a feeling you will speak for less than a minute.
Yes. Mr. Chair,
all these discussions, are we challenging the decision we made?
No.
And if that's be the case, then 20 people should have stood up to challenge our verdict. Why are we discussing it again?
Honorable members, honorable members, let me give you direction now on this one. You know, the point is we had 2 amendments on clause 15. I gave direction that we shall start with that of the majority leader. And then we shall go to that of the chair. Now, when the majority leader one passed, by implication, the one of the chair became a negatory. And so, what we are discussing, it is not there. What the members are discussing is the implication of passing the amendment by the majority leader, which we should not be, because we have moved on. So, honorable members, I now have to, Honorable Nyikal, why must you insist? What is it? Do you want to reopen the clause? Order, members. What is the point of order? Gikaria.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Chair, and this I really want you to give us some guidance. And it's not that I've just walked in, but as a ranking member in Committee of the Whole House in the last Parliament, we used to, Mr. Chair, we used to give the committee, and this was a ruling by the Speaker, that you give the committee the opportunity first to move an amendment because they have had an opportunity of meeting so many stakeholders and coming up with that. But now what you have done is now it is like you're saying, it will be very difficult for us to annul what you have already passed. But yet the committee has not been given an opportunity to be able to, I'm just saying, yes, I'm just saying, Mr. Speaker, that the committee should have been given an opportunity first, so that if theirs fail, then...
Very well. Honorable Gikaria, we must give, I have given direction that, look, we had 2 amendments. The man of the chair and the one of majority leader. The majority leader, the chair has not withdrawn, but the one of the majority leader has passed. If you take just a minute to read the text of the amendment by the majority leader, it will tell you that there is nothing that stands for the chair, if you look at the text. And so, honorable members, and you know, the House does not work in vain. It is a negatory. Yes.
The chair energy has just walked in. He's a good friend of mine. But for the House, there is nothing called in terms of amendments who has a preference over the other. It's when the legal department and in the order paper, once an amendment, the one that carries has the weight, if that one passes, then it's not only today, it's every day. If it is negating, then yours is dropped. And the chair has no problem, he has understood. Because the whole concept was about the cabinet secretary.
Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 15 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 16.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 16 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, there are amendments. There are 2 amendments actually. Honorable Chair, you have the floor.
Which consultations? Yeah, Mr. Chair, I propose that the bill be amended by deleting clause 16 and substituting thereof with the following with the following new section. Section 67 of the Principal Act is amended in subsection 2 by inserting the words appointed by the Cabinet Secretary immediately after the words Kenya appearing in paragraph A. The import of that is, Mr. Chair, is that is to ensure that the chairperson of the Petitions Committee is appointed by the Cabinet Secretary. Hamjaelewa? Why is it not clear? This is actually to give the Cabinet Secretary the power to appoint the chairperson of the Petitions Committee. That is the import of that amendment. Yes.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 16 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 16 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Yes, Majority Leader.
No, Chair, I think I stand guided. I want to drop my amendment. I want to drop my amendment. Because deleting D, I don't have even D in the bill. I think there's a problem, so I'm dropping.
Okay, very well. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 16, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So, honorable members, we now get to new clauses.
New clauses. New clause 4A.
Yes.
There were, we have just moved amendment to section. It's only one, but we have several others which are on the order paper. On the order paper, I only moved the issue of the Cabinet Secretary. Then two, we have to move to provide for the membership of that committee under B, because we only moved under A.
We have taken the whole.
Okay, if you have taken all, then that's fine.
All right. Chair, we did a block.
Okay.
We did a block. So Chair, you are safe. All the amendments that you proposed. Yes. What is it, Honorable Nyikal?
Chair, I want to appeal to our colleagues. If there is a part that even one person has not understood, this is for posterity. If this is for posterity, because the chair is right that actually he moved only one part and didn't move the other. So you can't do what the mover didn't do. So let's try to follow that he's right, that he's actually talking about membership, and it looks okay, but let's get it.
Very well, honorable members.
No, let the chair move.
Very well. Honorable members, the clause 16 is, the House has made a decision on clause 16. So on the new clause, the clause 4.
New clause 4A.
Honorable Chair, could you, and in the spirit of Honorable Nyikal, it's good to give good details and slowly. Honorable Chair, move the second reading of clause 4.
Honorable Chair, on the new clauses, if you allow me, because clause 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, all of them are referring to the same thing on the PPP committee, and I'm proposing I'm actually dropping all of them. 4A, 4B, 4C, and 4D. Yes, because they are referring to the PPP committee, which we have reinstated, and therefore they will be relevant if we, yeah. So I'm dropping all of them. Yeah.
No, but you have to drop one after the other.
Yes, I've asked him. I've asked the chair if he allows me. I drop 4A, 4B, 4C, and 4D.
We passed the other clause.
You will drop one after the other. So now we were at 4. We are at 4 what?
4A.
So we do one, for, that's fine, for purposes of record. Yes. So that is the Honorable Chair drops one clause after the other. But the one of 4A is noted.
New clause 4B.
Chair.
I propose that new clause 4B is dropped because it refers to PPP, which we are instating.
That's noted.
New clause 4C.
Clause 4C.
I propose that we drop new clause 4C, is referring again to PPP.
New clause 4D.
Chair.
In the same way, I'm also proposing to drop new clause 4D because it is referring to PPP committee.
New clause 4E.
Chair.
Do we have E? Yes. Sorry, Honorable Chair. I propose also in the same way to drop new clause 4E because it also refers to PPP committee.
New clause 4F.
Chair.
I also propose to drop clause 4F because it refers to PPP committee.
New clause 4G.
What is it, Honorable Osotsi?
Mr. Chair, the chair is proposing to drop clause 4E, but if you read through clause 4E, it is not related to the committee that is referring to. This is a clause that is giving the cabinet secretary the powers to submit reports to parliament every 6 months.
We want the committee to submit.
Yeah, the cabinet secretary, but he said he's dropping it.
Honorable Osotsi, as I had indicated earlier, the mover of the amendment has dropped. So the little thing he can do is just to explain why. But he has dropped. Nothing is left.
By the way, the manager can be rogue.
New clause 4H.
Chair.
I also plead with the members, especially the members who have just walked in. You know, we had explained the import of all these droppings, and therefore I'm proposing to drop 4H because it is referring to PPP committee, which is now being reinstated.
Honorable Kakaria, you are not the one who
offend anybody. I propose that these particular proposals under 4I, Mr. Chair, are dropped because they are actually referring to the functions of the PPP committee.
New clause 5A.
What is it, Honorable?
These are really very far-reaching amendments we are doing. You know, we are actually deleting whole sections. We are deleting whole sections. At least, I must confess that I have not read everything, but at least know that the section that we are deleting, this section is dealing with this, section is dealing with this. All these members, the ones that have taken their time to stay here, the hurry to pass this act in one day cannot be more important than their understanding on behalf of Kenyans. So, in my mind, Chair, even if we were to take another day to do this, but the members understand and follow, it will be a better service for this country. Because I've just looked at it quickly, I've managed to get somebody to pull me the act. We are main section. Some are dealing with powers of the committee, some are dealing with, so as I live here, let me put it on record, and I know there are many people with us, that many of us here may not have understood exactly what is being amended. I want it on record, and there is a reason why.
Very well, very well, very well.
New clause 5A.
Chair. As the chair is consulting, I'm sure he's consulting is he consulting the majority or consulting the papers?
No, I'm not consulting anybody.
Yes, what is it, Honorable Kimunya? Chair, I'll give you a chance. What is it, Honorable Kimunya?
You know, by the way, it is your business to go and understand something.
Chair, I want to, I think my attention has been drawn by Honorable Nyikal that indeed the amendments in 4I, which had been proposed by the chair, much as withdrawn, and I just want him to confirm that, you know, the reasoning is correct. Because what you'll find, it was actually enriching the bill. The amendment that was coming in was removing what is in the bill at section 14 and adding from Q. There's an RSTUV, extra duties for the unit, right? But we now, if you are withdrawing all that, you are saying we just stay with the bill as it was without those extra functions. Now, I just wanted to make sure that that is, because we are talking of the unit now, not the committee.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well, Chair.
Give me the import of these additional functions to the unit was because we are doing away with the PPP committee. So some of the functions were given to the cabinet secretary, and some of them were given to the PPP unit. Now that we are returning the PPP committee, we cannot therefore continue adding additional functions to the unit, because we are leaving all the units which belong to the committee to remain in the committee. So actually, this is a well-thought procedure, and we cannot really do guesswork. Yeah.
Very well, Chair. You are on the floor. Still on that, you are on the floor on 5A.
All right.
Let him pronounce himself on 5A first.
Mr. Chair, in the same spirit, I'm actually also dropping a new clause 5A, because this new clause 5A is still, we were still talking about transferring functions of the PPP committee to the cabinet secretary, and therefore because we are reversing, we are now dropping this particular amendment.
Very well.
New clause 6A.
New clause 6A, the amendment was by Honorable Janet Nagabo.
She's here.
Oh, she's here. Honorable Janet, please,
Thank
you have
you,
the floor.
Chair. Chair, I wish to bring amendment as per order paper, Chair. Chair, the intention of bringing this...
just so that I give you some guidance, you're actually moving for the second reading, because there's a new clause, second reading of that clause. So, say that you move that clause, new clause 6A be now read a second time, and you proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, now clause 6A to be read for the second time. Chair, I just want to bring the attention of this House because of the issue of disadvantaged groups that really they have not gotten their chance when it comes to this bill, Chair. You can see youth, women, and disability. They have not been included to this bill. So I move this so that members can also support me to be part of this bill. Thank you, Chair.
Very well, Honorable Janet. I now propose the question that new clause 6A be now read a second time. Very well. Very well. I put the question that new clause 6A be now read a second time. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now propose the question. I now propose the question that new clause 6A be part of the bill. I now put the question that new clause 6A be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 7A.
Chair, for the new clause 7A.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I also the Cabinet Secretary and the BPP. So in the same spirit, I'm also dropping that one.
Very well.
New clause 7B.
Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair, in the same spirit, I'm also dropping new clause 7B.
New clause 7C.
Chair.
You know, members are now getting used to what I'll do, but please don't, because I might actually support some. So in the, I'm also dropping new clause 7C, Mr. Chair.
New clause 7D.
Chair.
Yeah, in the same spirit, I'm also dropping new clause 7D.
New clause 8A.
Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yeah, I'm happy because there will be some sections which I'll be moving, and therefore this particular one, new clause 8A, I'm also proposing, I'm also dropping the same. Yeah. The same reason.
New clause 9A.
Honorable Janet. Oh, very well, very well. I'm guided. The 1A is actually for the chair. The 9A is for the chair. The 9B is for Honorable Janet. So, Honorable Chair.
9A also have 9A. I also have 9A. Okay.
There are so many 9As.
Honorable Chair.
Yangu ikipita, yeye ninampotea. Mr. Chair, I propose that the bill be amended by inserting the following new clauses immediately after clause 9. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Yes, Honorable Kikaria is become more competent, and he has realized actually that this particular 9A is actually referring again to the committee, and therefore I'm proposing to just a minute.
Honorable Chair, you can consult, no problem.
Yeah, just
so that
I just want to be
you
sure.
present.
But Chair.
All right, because we are reinstating the committee. Yeah.
Yes, what is the point of order?
Because these are
Majority
new
Leader?
clauses, the first thing that the chair needs to do is that he's moving these clauses for a second time. for record purpose.
Yes, if he's not dropping, then he is doing the second reading, so he needs to come out very clearly. Honorable Chair, I can see he is still consulting, and that is important.
Not really, not really.
It is important, Honorable Chair, when you're consulting, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to consult, you know.
If you can realize, in most cases, I don't consult. I'm only consulting my paperwork. Yes. So I'm actually moving this new section and new clause 9A to the second time to amend.
Be now read a second time.
Yes. Yes, I'm actually moving that as new clause 9A be read the second time. The import of these amendments, Mr. Chair, is that we are amending Section 37 of the Principal Act by inserting by bringing in approval by the committee. So the justification here is that the PPP has now been restated, and therefore we are giving it additional work of approving.
Very, very well. I propose the question that new clause 9A be now read a second time. I put the question that new clause 9A be now read a second time. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I propose a question that new clause 9A be part of the bill. I put the question that new clause 9A be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 9B.
Yes, new clause 9B by Honorable Janet.
Chair, I dropped that one. I drop it.
Okay. Very well.
New clause 9C.
New clause 9C by Majority Leader.
Okay, Chair, because the clerks at the table have agreed that they have renumbered, but I think that's a topographical error. So I move it as 9C. Thank you, Chair. I beg to move that new clause 9C is read for a second time. And Chair, if you look at that, I'm just trying to make sure that there's transparency and accountability in the decision making when it comes to how units should deal with the PPP contract. And it says it must have a consultation with the unit. They should hold competitive dialogue with each bidder to define both the technical and the financial aspect of it, of the project. Of course, as prescribed in the act itself, but of course, again, in consistency with the policy guidelines. So we want to make sure that there are no underhand dealings when it comes to matter of PPP. And you know, I really didn't want to oppose Honorable Janet Nangabo. When we talk about PPP, we're talking about huge projects. Yes. You know, this thing of bringing in youth, women, people with disability, for legal purposes, in future is good, but we're talking about big projects where investors are involved. So just to make sure that we tighten in law how policy is done, how the technical evaluation and the financial evaluations are done. So just trying to, just, I am not saying that, you know, when the moment somebody talks about people with disability or youth, you don't jump from your seat, Honorable Sonkok. You know, you have not been brought to the house only to represent those people. Even the investors will be involved in PPP. Even if they're not disabled, as a lawmaker, you're supposed to, yes. So if that is the case, then you should only be in this house when we are dealing with the laws pertaining to your community. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm really, so I beg to move.
Honorable members, I propose a question that new clause 9C be now read a second time. I put the question that new clause 9C be now read a second time. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? I propose a question that new clause 9C be part of the bill. I now put the question that new clause 9C be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 9D. 9D by the chair.
Chair, 9D.
Because mine was
9D. You don't
Yes.
have 9D?
Yes. The car guides that the one that comes is clause 9B becomes now clause 9D.
Also, it is C. In the order paper is C, and now it's being renamed D.
Mine was C, yes, now it's D.
Okay. So in if we are changing 9C to 9D, I'm actually I'm proposing to drop because it is referring to the PPP.
Moving for second reading.
But how do you move when you are dropping? You drop.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I'm dropping.
New clause 11A.
Chair, clause 11A.
Yes. Yeah, a new clause, Honorable Chair, I'm proposing to drop new clause 11A. It's still referring to the committee, and we have already referred that.
New clause 15A.
Chair, what is it, Honorable Karia? Honorable Karia, you can cross next to Honorable Cecilia Barire.
Maybe, Chair, maybe with your guidance, I can see we've just moved Honorable Majority Leader's amendment and named it as 9C. And we have 9B, which is almost a replica of what Honorable Majority Leader's amendment was. So I don't know. The B. Oh, it is dropped.
It became D.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No.
Honorable Speaker.
No, you are right. It's out of order.
Very well.
Out of order.
It's out of order.
Chair, you are on the floor, aren't you?
Yeah.
15A. What is it, Honorable Nyikal?
I know it is nice to ignore me sometimes, but some of these things may visit themselves on us later. Just to be educated on 9C, which is now D, which is section 48, and what is saying section 48 of the public sector is amended by deleting subsection 4, isn't it? That is what you have done.
Honorable Nyikal, Honorable Nyikal, you know we are in new clause 15A. We are in clause 15A. That's what the chair is processing.
Chair, let me take you back by the guy who is slow and coming from behind and seeing how you're moving. You know why? I'll say it and I'll not argue, Honorable Angwenyi. I'll just make my point and I'll keep quiet because I want to make my point.
Address the chair directly.
It is, Chair. We were actually, when we were talking about the committee, there was a very broad argument that came that we are some places the power is removing, particularly with the counties, because we had earlier removed the committee, we brought the committee back, and I asked, are the counties now represented in that new committee? So what, I'm asking a very simple question. If you answer me, I'll sit down. As we are going through these amendments, maybe you're too fast for me. I didn't see where we got representation of the counties in the committee. That is, once that's done, Honorable Ngweni, I'll be happy.
Very well. Honorable Nyikal, you know, please, we shall give you space when we are dealing with that clause. But you know, you said we take you slowly, but you see, when you have moved on, we only been gracious to carry you along, but I'm sure when the chair is dealing with clause 15A, he should also be gracious enough to probably give you that, that point.
I will oblige, Chair.
Yes, clause 15A, and when you hear Honorable Nyikal asking a question, it is good to bring him up to speed. I think it is fair enough to ask. Honorable Chair, clause 15A.
No. Yeah, new clause 15A. I'm proposing to drop new clause 15A because it's referring to same to the same issue of the committee.
No, Chair. Point of order.
Yes, what is it, Majority Leader?
Chair, clause 15A, as provided in the order paper, which I think is in page 850. Are we together? 850 is talking about a different thing, Chair. It's not about the cabinet secretary. You know, we have agreed with you on the substitution. But 3A, it talks about a contracting authority may at any time terminate procurement proceedings before execution of a contract. Are we, I don't know whether.
Majority Leader, I think your point is valid. Maybe the chair,
yes,
in his, he has dropped, but in his explanation, the import of dropping,
yes,
he went to the south. He went to the south. So it is.
Yes, in dropping,
I think the chair.
He used the chorus that we were used to. Because I don't know how he's dropping this. Well, it talks about bidders, it talks about procurement, termination of procurement process.
Shall we give him a chance?
Let's give him a chance so that
yes,
we might come back to it.
So, Chair, if
and
you are dropping.
Chair, for record purpose, for information, the chair is getting confused because some people don't prepare. Please, if you want to contribute to the finance, to a bill at the committee of the whole house, you spend quite some time even before you come to the house. So that each and every amendment, you have got reasons why you're either opposing or, and you know, but now Honorable Nyikal wants to learn in the process. In the process of the committee of the whole house, he wants the chair to indicate him. No, the chair can only indicate to a certain extent.
Well, Honorable Chair, you, before we move, let's give the chair an opportunity to tell us what he wants us to do with clause 15A. Then we can open it up. The chair must tell us what he wants Mr. on Chair. The clause 15A and give us comprehensive input.
You know, Mr. Chair, you know, that is why I've always asked for your protection, because, you know, members who are sitting around under cruise are always singing chorus of drop, without giving me opportunity to explain the import of this particular new clauses. Mr. Chair, I propose that the bill, yes, new clause 15A, be read a second time.
What is the point of order?
I think.
What is a
just point of information here?
If it is on that clause, I haven't proposed the question yet. Is it on that? Because you must allow me to first propose the question, then I open it up. I think let's still give the chair the latitude so that the chair gets absolutely clear what his position is on this clause. Chair, we will not tire to give you a chance and space to tell us. And be very clear, are you dropping or are you moving for the second reading?
I'm dropping. I'm dropping new clause 15A because it's dealing with the cancellation of contracts by the committee. Now that we are returning the committee, then there's no need of moving the amendment. Yeah. So I'm dropping.
Very well, but you know, Chair, it's good to make the House very clear because you went on a pendulum on that particular one.
New clause 15B.
Honorable Chair, new clause 15B. We'll still give you time and space.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll still ask for your protection because if you remember very well, you know, in my own record here, I had dropped. But you see, this was kind of noise sometimes. We are also human beings, so you confuse the whole area. But now, on 15B, it is still referring to the same issue, and I'm dropping. It is 15B.
New clause 15C.
Honorable Chair, and don't listen to the chorus.
In the same spirit, I'm dropping new 15C.
New clause 15D.
Honorable Chair.
In the same way, I'm also dropping new 15D.
New clause 15E.
Yeah,
Honorable Chair, 15E.
Yes, finally on that 15, I'm also dropping 15E. Same reason.
New clause 17.
Chair, new clause 17.
Mr. Chair, new clause 17 is also referring to the committee, and I'm also dropping.
Yes, Honorable Nyikal, on a point of order.
Chair, we are discussing an extremely important act, and even the chair himself admits that sometimes there is just drop. Chair, I think, do we have enough quorum in this House to discuss such an important bill? Okay, fine. Okay, today.
Honorable Nyikal, what did you say?
I've withdrawn.
Okay, very well. You know you must go on record.
That section is on a different matter. It's on public participation.
Very well. You know.
Honorable Chair, can you tell Honorable Jimmy also to
Very well.
because he's replying.
Very well. As we said on this particular bill, for the chair, we shall give him space and time to be very clear on each clause, what he wants to.
What are you saying?
So on clause, new clause 17, Chair, please be clear to the House.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for this. Let me say this new clause 17. On new clause 17, I propose that new clause 17 be read a second time. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes.
Chair, it's good to give the input.
All right.
Do you want to consult?
The justification for this, Mr. Chair, is to provide for the need to carry out public participation and the need for the CS, Cabinet Secretary at National Treasury, to make regulations to guide the process of public participation. Mr. Chair, that is the import of that.
Very well. Honorable members, I propose a question that new clause 17 be now read a second time. I put the question that new clause 17 be now read a second time. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I propose a question that new clause 17 be part of the bill. I now put the question that new clause 17 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 18.
Chair. What is the point of order, Honorable Jikal?
Chair, today I'm on a learning streak. Chair, what is the quorum for the committee of the whole house? Chair, I just, because if there is, then I'll call, are we here enough? So I need that guidance.
Well, I'm sure, Honorable Jikal, you can consult the standing order on the quorum and in the meantime, as you get to that, I will be giving the chair. Chair, you know, we are still waiting for the chair to consult.
Yeah, he has finished.
On clause 18, new clause 18.
I confirm that new clause 18 is referring to the committee, and therefore I propose to drop.
New clause 19.
New clause 19.
New clause 19.
New clause 19 is referring to the first schedule, and the first schedule is actually on the committee, and therefore I also propose to drop.
Clause 2.
I propose a question, honorable members, that clause 2 be part of the bill. Chair.
I propose that clause 2, the amendment to clause 2 is dropped because it's actually referring to the committee, definition of the committee, and the committee is now being returned back.
The Honorable Janet. Okay, very well. She's not in, and so that is as well dropped. I now put the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the title be the title of the bill. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Public-Private Partnership Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2017, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Very well. I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Public-Private Partnerships Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2017, and its approval thereof with amendment. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it.
Simama sasa. No, he is
Very well. Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Public-Private Partnership Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2017, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I request Honorable Limo, the Chair of Finance, to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Mr. Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I propose a question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Very well. I will repeat putting the question on that particular matter. Very well. Honorable members, next order.
Order number 12, the warehouse retrieve system. Order number 11, motion. Oh, sorry. Order number 10, the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2018.
Very well, honorable members. This is basically a resumption of the debate interrupted on Tuesday, July 24, 2018, as it is indicated in the order paper. And a few members had spoken to it. And the one who was on the floor was Honorable Wanyonyi Kevin, who had a balance of 6 minutes. So, very well. You can, Honorable Sotsi, you can't speak on his behalf. I think he must have spoken enough on that particular bill. So we'll open it up to the other members. No. Yes, and I'll be guided by the screen here, and those who have registered interest to speak to this. Honorable Osotsi.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I had expressed interest to speak on an earlier motion, not this one.
Very well. Honorable Musimba Patrick. You know, I'm guided by the screen. Very well. Honorable Musimba is absent. Honorable, the last one who has registered interest to speak to this is Honorable Nikal. Where is it? Where is it?
Very well. Actually, yes, in fact, that's why I was consulting with the clerk. Thank you very much, Honorable Nyikal, for being very honest. I actually have confirmed. In that case, then, because there is clearly no other and further interests to speak to this bill, we should call the mover to reply.
Chair, I really want to make sure before I move that Honorable Nyikal, I agree with you, we will do a recommittal on Tuesday to create a slot for the Council of Governors. Yeah, once, because the speaker was, and Honorable Nyikal, Chair, we are not going to babysit you. It's your business to go and look at the order paper and the bill and bring your amendment. Yeah, we are not going to, yeah, he has a valid, but why can't he work? We are not here to babysit you on behalf of Council of Governors. Honorable Chair, this important bill called the Land Value Index.
What is it, Honorable?
You haven't mentioned because we can't babysit you.
What is your intervention, Honorable Nyikal?
Chair, my intervention is, and I want this for the whole world to hear. When I make and I insist, quite often I've done my homework. And I did my homework about the representation of the counties in the amendment. And that's why I've been going up and down. It has now turned out...
Order, Honorable Nyikal.
Let me finish. Chair, it has now turned out... Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. It has now turned out...
Order, Honorable Nyikal. Order, Honorable Nyikal. You know, you have told me, you know, Honorable Nyikal, and you are one of the senior members of this House. What clearly you are doing is to take us back to a business we have just dispensed. Order, Honorable Nyikal, please, let us proceed from there. Let us proceed from there. Honorable Nyikal, I would request you that you don't take us back to the previous business, so that when we move, and I'm sure even the majority leader is well guided. I have also said, very well. Honorable Majority Leader, please move from there.
Chair, the Land Index Laws Amendment Bill 2018, Speaker, is a very, very important bill, and I want to thank members who contributed. This bill was dealt with by the 11th Parliament, but it died in the Senate just before elections. So this bill proposes to amend the Land Act. I thought when we reach the Committee of the Whole House, Honorable Nyikal must carry the Land Act. This bill is going to amend the Land Registration Act. You must have the Principal Act. And further, this bill is going to deal with a number of the Land Community Act, which this House has passed. What does it do? This bill wants to bring on board a standard and a harmonized way in which we can value land across the country for the primary purpose of making a determination when it comes to land rent, land rates, stamp duty, both on conveyance of land and on compensation expropriated land. So this bill seeks, Mr. Speaker, to make, of course, what I've said, the land rates, the land stamp duty, and the compensation, to be predictable, to be rational, and above all, not to be prone to subjective valuation and speculation. And I'm sure there are over 30 members who have spoken to. I really want to thank them, and I'm sure, just like the way we are dealing with many bills, because the private-public partnership, by the time we finish on Tuesday, we will send it to the Senate. That will be the 10th bill we have sent to the Senate. And some of those bills, Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record, have constitutional timelines. In fact, they were to be passed in the 10th Parliament. We extended it by 1 year in the 11th Parliament. We extended it by 1 year. The Senate must know that we are contravening the Constitution in terms of implementation of certain pieces of legislation, the energy the petroleum, and the roads bill. With those many remarks, I beg to reply.
Very well, honorable members, I'll pay putting the question also on that particular business to a subsequent time. Next order.
Order number 12, the Warehouse Receipt System Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2018, second reading.
The leader of the majority party.
Chair, you know, I don't know what happens to the other leadership. The person who's supposed to second me is the chair of agriculture. But because he's dealing with the mercury and the sugar and many, many others, let us step it down so that he can second. Because the chair of a committee is supposed to second and read the, speak for the views of the stakeholders. So we step it down.
Very well.
No, you're not the chair.
That is accordingly. Next order.
Order number 13, the Circle Societies Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2018, second reading.
The leader of majority party.
Again, the chair of trade is also dealing with the mercury and sugar, the copper and lead. So he's supposed to have seconded me on behalf of the stakeholders. Let us step it down. But of course, the former secretary of cooperative, Honorable Manzo, is in the house, and I'm sure he thought we will start the cooperative, but you'll wait for the movement next week.
Very well, that is stepped down accordingly. Next order.
Order number 14, the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendments Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2018.
The leader of majority party.
Chair, this one in the House Business Committee, we never thought we will reach here. But in the House Business Committee, we have agreed that because it's a big, voluminous, omnibus piece of legislation, and the chair of Legal Affairs, who's supposed to second, but even the statement I read this afternoon on behalf of the House Business Committee, I stated that that bill will come on Tuesday next week, so we step it down.
Very well, that is stepped down. Clearly, there isn't any other business.
Yes.
Sorry? Sorry? Huh? Yes, come. Next order.
Order number 15, the Health Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2018, second reading.
Clearly, I think the members
Yeah, again,
have been here.
the great leader from Ranga, Honorable Sabina Chege, supposed to second. She was here, but I think she realized that this deletion of the chair of the cabinet secretary substituting with the committee will take until the House rises. So she's away. We ask you, Mr. Speaker, to step it down.
Very well. Honorable members. Honorable members, the time being 6:15. This House started adjourned till Tuesday, that 1st July 2018 at 2:30 p.m.